guys, welcome back to another episode of Lights Out with Ish and Eve. I'm Ish and this is Eve, and to be honest, the girlies are doing their best to stay awake.
I'm so tired.
We had a big
Day.
day on Saturday. The girlies went out for bottomless, and then we stayed up last night to watch the race.
But we also stayed up the night before to watch quali.
We did.
So
true.
we were out all afternoon on Saturday.
Yeah.
Came home, watched quali.
Yeah.
So that put us to bed at 1:30.
Yeah.
And then we both watched the race live last night as well. Mm-hmm. I had to have a nap before the race. I literally was like 8:30 and I was like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, I had a coffee at like 5 o'clock, which
That's
is
crazy. I don't think I could watch an F1 race start after having a coffee at 5 p.m. But like, I literally was like, I need a nap. I put an alarm on for 10:30.
Yeah, nice.
And I went to bed. And then I felt like such a grandma. But it was
True.
necessary to stay up through that fucking... I feel like the race was almost worse because we were like...
The expectations were so high.
Well, it was just like, maybe this year it will finally be good.
The hope.
The hope. And then it was just bad.
Yeah, the two-stop did absolutely nothing.
No.
I'm glad they at least tried something.
Totally. It was worth a try.
Yes. Didn't work.
But now it's like, what
do you
what
do?
could they
Yeah.
do? Because they also brought us off the tyre compound.
They did.
But the fact that the Mercedes didn't pit until like the end of the race shows that didn't make a difference either.
No.
Like not like in Imola where it was like...
the tyres were degrading faster.
Yeah, and like that actually made the race more interesting. Like...
Yes. I know. I really don't know what they can do. I've heard talk of like maybe you make the one of the mandatory pit stops you have to do
at the start, so there's no
X amount of laps.
You can't do as many team games with it.
Yeah.
But like, how many rules can you add in?
I know. It gets way too gimmicky.
Yeah.
My whole thing is I'm fine with Monaco just kind of being a boring race. It's the one race in the calendar where Saturday is basically race day.
I agree. It's like kind of fun to have that like thrown in the mix, and I totally get it because it's just like, well, it's about the race and like growing up. But I do like having different styles of races across the calendar. So to have one where it's all about qualifying is like...
Yeah. I think it keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
Shakes it up a little bit. But
maybe if I was there on a yacht, I'd enjoy it more.
Yeah. Then I maybe wouldn't have any complaints. But it's fine. But yeah, the race itself obviously was just all a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
I was thinking as I was watching, I was like, they need to make like a rain machine or something, or like
that's what
hose
George
down the
Russell
track.
was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear? They were like, so what can they do? And he was like, I don't know, give us all like a sprinkler and we can like deploy our sprinkler once. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, he was getting a little rogue in some of his interviews.
He did not have a good time.
I know. Did you see he was like, Alex, Albon owes me a dinner, and then he took him out to dinner.
Yeah. No, he was like, we're already going out for dinner. He's paying.
Yeah, true.
And Alex commented, I'm taking you to a drive-through.
Yeah. And then they posted on Instagram like Alex holding up the bill.
Be like, you're welcome.
Yeah, so
I was
cute.
like, true, because you all were not having a good time.
I know.
Alex was.
For real.
He was like,
That being said, all the other sessions, super entertaining.
Yeah.
Though.
Quali was great.
Yes.
I remember, like I said to you, it was like 1 a.m. because there was obviously a few stops with the like red flags and stuff. It was like 1 a.m. and it was like the end of Q3 and I was like, oh my God, I'm just remembered. I remember I need to be stressed about this. I was like, oh, wait. I need to lock the fuck in. I was like dozing off, which is not good.
No, but
that's the state we're in.
True. I also really liked McLaren's Riviera livery and their race suits were very cute. Charles's race suit was very cute. It was fun that they were all in like
white on the podium.
Yeah, that was cute. But no, I did really like
me too.
The design of that.
It was good.
And then the only other thing that I had before we kind of get into the weekend was that Ferrari put on last year's rear wing.
So did Williams.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, particularly, I guess, for Ferrari, the fact that they put on last year's rear wing.
And were fast.
And then all of a sudden, Charles is topping every session.
It's like, what did I say a few weeks ago about, like, can you just put the 2024 car?
Can we just roll that back out?
Yeah. You put the rear wing
Ferrari,
and all of a sudden it was like...
Yeah.
You were
if
there.
we could just now put the rest of the parts back in, that would be great.
And the drive. I'm joking.
No,
I'm sure it would fix a lot for Lewis if the car was fucking good.
True.
Did you hear on the radio, like in the race or something, he was like, "Are you mad at me or something?"
I did hear that.
And then no response.
I know.
I was like,
a little strange.
But I was like, also, is this people like, maybe you just didn't hear the response?
Yeah.
Or is this people like nitpicking to like make it dramatic?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was like, if that's real, that's crazy.
That is crazy if that's real. But yeah.
Ricardo Adami misses Carlos Sainz.
True.
Anyway, shall we get into FP1?
We shall. So obviously my favorite part of FP1 and all the practice sessions was Charles going fastest. I was like, we are on.
Literally, he went fastest in FP1, and I was like, okay.
I know. He had a few like hairy moments.
Yeah. Well,
including getting fully turned into by Lance Stroll.
That was so crazy.
Bro. I was like...
Just lucky he did that in the practice and not in qualifying.
Totally.
Because he just didn't...
He just, like, didn't see the blue... Yeah.
Because I think he said that he let through the car ahead and he may just, like, didn't know there were two or, like...
Yeah.
Something.
Which is, like, on the team to communicate that. Like, there's two cars coming up behind you on the lap. You need... Like, you know, going faster. Like, you need to let them through.
Yeah.
And, like, Charles was relatively, like, chill about it on the radio.
He was just like, come on, man. Because it was so early in as well, and it was, like, basically just the front wing. But then he had the front wing stuck under the car, and he dragged it around the pit lane, therefore causing a little bit more damage.
Yes.
But it caused more damage to Stroll's car than it did to his. So.
Totally. But it was just like, yes, Lance Stroll.
Good stuff.
Yes.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah. And then Lance obviously got a one-place grid penalty for that. Yeah. Fair enough. Also, in Ferrari land, Lewis, like, at one point took that curb coming around from the tunnel and just... Whoa! He got so much air. Crazy.
And I think I said this to you. I was like, if this happens in qualifying, is this track limits?
Yeah.
Because I've watched the replay and there is no point in time where all four of his wheels are off the track. There's points in time where he's off the track in the air, but at no point in time are all four wheels off the track.
True.
So, I mean, I'm sure if that happened in qualifying, he'd lose that much time that his time wouldn't be good anyway.
Yeah.
But would your lap time be deleted?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you're not really leaving the track and gaining an advantage.
No. But also, like, I'm just curious because that's the thing. It's like if all four tires go off, I guess they were off.
Yeah, just
aerially. Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter because it was in practice. But I was like, it's not track limits. How does this work? Have we encountered this circumstance before?
Yeah. On a three-dimensional plane.
Yeah. Like, is this a 2D track limits deletion? 4D? Like, what are we talking? Anyway, so funny. There was a lot of people running off.
Yes.
Like, Charles went off, Lando, Carlos.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people bought a letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A few, like, little touches at the wall and bouncing off.
A lot of people complaining about people in their way.
Yeah.
Blah-de-blah.
I always think it's really funny when someone, like, taps the wall and then F1 displays the, like, close to the wall graphic, 0 centimeters.
It's like too close. Yeah. It literally is like 0 centimeters too close to the wall. And it's like, thanks.
Correct. I did see that,
It's actually. Like, also, if I see the car wobble after hitting the wall, you don't need to tell me it's 0 centimeters.
Yeah, I did work that one out.
Yeah. I like when it's like close to the wall and it's like tells you how far away they were. But when it's 0 centimeters, I'm like, come on.
True.
We know.
Tell
me how many centimeters through the wall they would have been if the wall wasn't there.
True, that I would like to know.
I think that's kind of it from FP1.
I think
Obviously,
so too.
Charles was fast. He was still complaining a little bit though.
He was, yeah.
But they clearly seemed to
have fixed it. But it was kind of fine. Yeah. FP2, we obviously had Charles going fastest again.
Yep.
And I was like, let's go.
We're on.
We are cooking.
Yeah. I was so scared of Charles in quali. I was like, but I was also like, it would be such a good vibe.
I know. Charles in Monaco is almost like Lewis in Silverstone.
Totally.
Like, they're just a little bit goated on
that
for
track.
Sure.
And he's just obviously had the curse.
Yes.
But like the curse, he didn't get cursed this time. He just... There's nothing else he could have done.
No.
Like, Lando's lap in quali was outrageous.
Absolutely.
Like, and Charles's lap was phenomenal too. Like,
totally, 100%. And just the fact that, like, he was within 2/10 of Lando and still couldn't get around. Like,
yeah, it's like, yeah. And also just because of his season so far, it's just been, like, so bad that I was like, oh, it would be really
It would be nice. I know.
Like,
got this win.
I did see something that was like, one thing about Lando is he will take your home race from you. I was like, well...
Fair.
Like, them on the podium, be like Lando knowing he took pole in the win at both of their home races.
True.
I was like, well, you got to take it somewhere.
I mean, yeah. Anyways. Fair enough. Hadjar also had, like, quite a scary slip.
Yeah.
Which was, again, like, in the tunnel. Which I was like, oh, is bro having, like, PTSD from F2?
It's like, last time there was a car here. And I had to...
But he, like, came around the corner of the tunnel, and it was at the other side of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So you kind of had a bit more time to see him coming.
Yeah.
And had another little, like, moment.
Yeah.
And then another one later on, and he was, like, really
got a puncture and, like,
Yeah, he was like, oh, that was so stupid. Like, I think I'm just dumb. And I was like,
it's
no,
like, you're just a rookie.
You're a rookie in Monaco.
Literally. Which, by the way, very impressed with all of them.
So impressed.
Very impressed with all of them. Liam Lawson.
Yeah. Shout outs.
Big ups.
Big ups.
It's about time that we had something positive to say about Liam Lawson.
Yes.
I'm so happy for him. Mm-hmm. He needed a weekend like this.
He did.
After his confidence was shot to bits by Red Bull. Mm-hmm. Thanks, everybody, for that. But, yeah, I hope that he can take some confidence and get back to where he was, like, before he got put in, like, at the end of last year and the end of the year before, like, when he came in and had confidence in that RB.
Yeah.
I hope that he can tap into that again.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be better than Hadjar, but
no,
I am very, very happy for him. But that's kind of a point for later.
But no, completely agree. FP2, what else?
Then Oscar was in the wall.
Yes.
And
very strategically in the wall, though.
Yes. Yeah,
I think he could kind of tell that he was going to be coming in at a bad angle, so sort of corrected himself enough
to hit front on to only break the front wing.
Yes.
Because if he was too far around to steer into the runoff, but he wasn't far around enough to make the corner.
Yes.
So he was like, I'm just going to hit it front on and then only damage my front wing. Which is what he did.
Exactly.
I did think... I always think this.
Yeah.
When the car is driving around with a broken front wing and it's just like the nose of the... It looks so funny.
It does look so funny.
It's like...
yeah, it's just a little finger.
Yeah, it looks like this. Or like a cartoon witch's nose.
Yeah, true.
Like the old green bitches from like the cartoon.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
I get
Anyways. Then Ollie had his red flag infringement.
Oh, Ollie and red flags recently are just not friends.
Ollie can't catch a break these last few weeks.
I know. And I felt really bad because, like, he was obviously coming at Carlos way faster than, like, Carlos was driving.
I know. And it's like, in that situation... What are you going to do? Brake and slam into the back of him.
I know.
Brake and spin yourself into the wall.
I know.
Like,
it sucks that, like, yes, you have to apply the rules.
Of course.
As they're
it's
written.
Unsafe to overtake under a red flag.
Yes, but it's
in that situation, that was the safest thing to do.
I know. It just sucks.
And in Monaco, of all places.
I know.
It's the last place you want any grid penalty, but at 10, like,
I know.
Count yourself out.
I was also like, if you didn't see the red flag, like, right when it happened, probably couldn't blame you, because how many Ferrari flags are around there? Yeah. Monaco flags, they're all red.
I mean, they're not all flashing at you.
No, but still, you know, you're like trying to filter that out.
True.
But, yeah.
Another thing that happened in FP2 was both RBs were faster than both Red Bulls.
Yes.
I was like... But Red Bull often are not that fast in practice. And then Max comes to quali and he's like, hello.
I know. And even Max in like Q1 and Q2 is sort of like, usually, okay. And then Q3, he's like, okay, let me hit the gas.
Bow.
Yeah.
It's like, psych, you thought.
Yeah, you really thought.
And Max also went into the runoff and had a sassy moment on the radio with GP.
What did he say?
And, because Max was like, oh, I can't find reverse. Like, I can't reverse. And GP was like, what he said, put it into neutral and then hit reverse. And Max was like, yeah, I fucking tried that. Like, what do you think, I'm an idiot? Like, I can't remember. GP literally was like, go to neutral and find reverse. And Max was like, what do you think I did?
Obviously.
He's like, do you think I'm an idiot?
Yeah. I'm actually 4-time world champion.
Yeah, it's like, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
No, but that is funny.
Yeah.
I do love Max and GP. Just like sassing each other.
I know.
Was there anything else in FP3?
Not really, no. Yeah. FP3?
FP3, Charles fastest.
Yeah. And I was feeling really threatened.
Yeah. And I was like, this is on here.
But again, I would have been happy for a Charles win this weekend.
Totally.
100%.
For sure. At one point, Lando got held up by Lance Stroll in Q3 and was on the radio like, ugh, what is Stroll doing?
What is he doing?
Dude, I saw this meme and it was like, you know that movie Bird Box with
yes, the blindfolds.
Yeah, and it was.
I haven't seen it. I just
yeah, it was just a shot of Sandra Bullock with like the blindfold on, and it was just like Stroll right now.
I actually like, saw a meme, and it was like big rivalries in F1, and it's like Senna versus Prost, Hamilton Verstappen.
Yeah.
It's like Lando and Lando, Charles and Ferrari, Lance Stroll and a wing mirror.
No, but
oops.
For real.
Then, yeah, there was a lot of people not going out at the start of FP3.
Yeah.
Like they're all just kind of like, I'll just wait.
Yeah.
Because obviously they don't want to risk damage to the car, but they also want the track conditions to be as close to they're going to be in qualifying to get like the best simulation. So they're all just like playing that game of like, how late can I leave it to go out? Like I don't want to cause damage.
True.
But then Lewis caused damage.
Yes. And
Ba-bow.
Was in the wall right at the end. I think he just got caught up in like the dirty air of the car in front.
He did, yeah. And just like maybe like a bit of a snap.
Yeah.
Bit of dirty air.
Yeah. Nothing,
Monaco for ya.
Nothing serious.
Yeah. Monaco for ya.
Yeah. But I think that was it.
Practice. Mm-hmm.
So quali.
Q1.
We had Colapinto, Stroll, Gasly, Behrman, and Bortoletto eliminated. And obviously Behrman dropped down to P20 because
and Stroll also dropped down
to
P19. So he stayed in the same place despite four place grid penalty.
Yes.
Because he got another grid penalty for impeding Gasly.
Oh.
Because in qualifying.
Oh,
that's why Gasly got knocked out.
True.
Or could have been why Gasly got knocked out.
Very true.
So, yeah, the Alpines did not have a good quali.
No.
At all.
But speaking of impeding, in Q1 was where the Verstappen-Hamilton incident happened, which was awful by Ferrari. Like, how do you just go, like, say one thing is happening and then completely reverse it?
And the first thing you said is actually happening?
Yeah.
He's like Verstappen on quick lap behind you. No, he's not.
Oh, wait, yes, he is.
Oh, that was him. Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Like, how does that happen? That is insane. I
actually saw a really funny meme because did you see after the session? Maybe not because you guys left. But they were all like around in like Parc Fermé and Hamilton went up to Max and was like apologizing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what like kind of clearly was happening. Like he went up and was at like and Max was like patted on the shoulder. I was like, oh, that's all good. Because in the end, it didn't really make a difference. Totally. Max got through and, you know.
Yeah.
But and there's one shot where Lewis is like this. He's still got his helmet on and he's kind of like just like gesturing at Max. And Max has his hand on his shoulder and his face is kind of like oh, but like it's okay. Like
yeah.
And the thing is like it's like Ferrari comms ? Ferrari comms. It's like yep, I get it. I get it.
I know. But like, yeah, that's just like inexcusable for me. Like, you cannot be doing that.
They are not meshing
at all.
They're really not.
I know. I mean, like, I know Lewis like had a bit of like a like frustration on the radio, but if that was me, I would have been raging. Like, you've cost me 3 places in Monaco.
Yeah. Like, when you were on for a good weekend and you haven't really had a good quali in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, unacceptable.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, like Charles was looking quick, Williams were looking quick, and then Antonelli in the wall.
Another one, just Monaco for ya.
Yep.
Tiniest little brush up against that barrier. And oh my God, like that's just one of those barriers where you always see people like they zoom in and they're like, how close? And a lot of people clip it.
Yeah.
and you clip it too hard, and
I know.
Off you go.
It really was just like, little rookie mistake.
Yeah. But it was just the start of not a good time for Mercedes.
Yeah.
And that continued the whole way through the race.
Yep.
As well.
Yep.
So it wasn't just him.
No.
And yeah, but I felt really bad for him because,
Agreed.
But again, you're a rookie. You're going to make mistakes like that. And it could have happened to anyone.
Totally.
There were so many people clipping that wall and others and getting away with it.
100%.
But
speaking of Mercedes bad luck, we went into Q2.
Yeah.
And obviously Antonelli was eliminated.
Yeah.
George Russell, Nico Hülkenberg, Yuki Tsunoda, and Carlos Sainz.
Pretty good from Nico.
Pretty good from Nico to make it through.
Yeah.
But George, losing power in the tunnel.
Well, he lost power
way back.
He lost power coming up the hill.
I know. I kind of can't believe that he
pushed it that far. Because maybe he can jump, get it going again.
Yeah.
And then he just realised he couldn't.
It just wasn't going to happen.
Because obviously he would have bailed that lap, but he would have been able to continue on.
Yes.
And probably go into the pits and have it looked at and then come back out.
Yeah.
Because it was right at the start of Q2 as well.
Yeah. So I'm sure he was hoping he could make it round.
Yeah, exactly.
But the marshals rolling him was so funny though.
George.
I know. George. He was directing them and then got back in the car to steer it.
That was really
so
funny. But yeah, then obviously other red flag.
Yes.
But ultimately it didn't really affect too much.
Not really.
Because no one had really put a time on the board by then.
No.
So
it was kind of fine. Red flagged. Everyone got sorted. It was all pretty straightforward after that.
Yeah.
Oscar had a big slip.
But the thing with Oscar's slip is he was already through. And he was a little bit, and had been the whole weekend, a bit off the pace.
Yeah.
And he'd had a lot of, obviously he had his incident into the wall, and he'd had a few slides and slips and taps on the wall.
He was just a bit off kilter.
He was a little bit, and it's going to happen every now and then. But I was like, because he could have backed off that lap. He was safely through. Checkered flag was out. It was set.
Yeah.
And he continued to push, and it was kind of well, it's good, get another practice lap in to, go faster in Q3.
Yeah.
And then he had that slide, and I was like, if he...
just settle.
If he had binned it...
Yeah.
When he didn't need to finish the lap, I would have been so sad. But he didn't.
He didn't, thankfully, and it was all fine. And we moved into Q3.
Charles was fastest as well in Q2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lando went onto new tyres and still went slower, and I was like...
Here we go. Here we go. And then we went into Q3. First of all, both RBs and SD Bestie into Q3.
I think I said that wrong, but anyway. It doesn't matter.
Oh.
I digress.
But yeah, both RBs and SD Bestie into Q3. We love that.
So good.
Obviously, as you already said, amazing weekend for Liam Lawson.
And the RBs.
Exactly what he needed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so good for Esteban Ocon.
Yes, and him and Laura on the radio was so cute. Yeah,
I love them together. They're so sweet.
I know. Especially when everyone's like, "What the fuck are you giving me this fucking bullshit?" And he's like, "Thank you, Laura."
Yeah.
Funny.
So sweet.
Anyways. But I'm also like, you've had your fucking time.
Yeah.
Barking shit at your engineer.
Yeah.
But Esteban has rebranded a little bit.
He really has.
And he's because I keep seeing videos of him going up to Jack Doohan in the paddock in Imola, after he got fired, because obviously Jack Doohan spent a lot of time with Esteban Ocon and Alpine, and him being really lovely to everyone in and around the paddock. And I saw a comment that was the things that happen when he's not trying to kill his teammate.
Literally. Or having to deal with all the Alpine drama.
Literally. He's a new man at Haas, and he's having a blast. So good for him. Good for SD Bestie.
Yes.
He's also had good vibes around Monaco before being on the podium there.
Yes.
So he's clearly...
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charles is absolutely flying. And then they were all doing their final laps.
But this is the thing with the final lap. So McLaren went out early.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh. Because even the track was still kind of ramping up a little bit. And I was like, it's too early. Are you banking on a red flag? Are you banking on someone going into the wall?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, why are we doing this?
But then it turns out that it was a master stroke, and it turns out they left themselves enough time to go for two.
Yeah.
Which ultimately like, it was a good thing to do. I was like, why are we going early?
I know.
Why are we going so early?
Totally. Because a bunch of people, like, weren't really improving on their last laps, but Charles did.
After Charles set his time, I think Max was still going but not improving.
Yes.
Lewis was still going but not improving.
Yeah.
Oscar was still going but not improving.
Yes.
So it was kind of looking like, okay.
Everyone was, and I was like, cool. I was like, if Oscar's not improving, like, Lando's probably not either.
And Lando wasn't going purple either.
No.
He went green, green, green.
Yeah.
So it was like green, green. I was like, are we on? Like,
I know.
After everyone hadn't improved, and I was like, I don't think we're on. I genuinely didn't think.
I thought we had it in the bag.
Yeah, I thought you had it in the bag.
Celebrating. And then Lando crossed the line and went, bing! And I was like, no!
I was like, get in! Let's go! And then it was like, new track record. I was like,
yeah, I was like, damn.
Okay!
In the 109s.
Okay. First lap in the 109s around Monaco.
Crazy.
Good stuff.
Absolutely sent it.
Yeah.
So,
great lap.
it. Yeah.
And just like, good for him to have his good quali form back.
Yep.
Like,
agreed.
That's part of the reason I was so happy. Obviously, I'm like McLaren on pole, great. Mm-hmm. Monaco pole is always a good thing.
Yes.
But yeah, just for him, like, in his current qualifying form.
Yeah.
To have that confidence boost.
Yeah.
Like,
nice.
Good stuff.
We appreciate it.
There was also a fun stat said about Alex Albon.
Yeah.
In Q3, and it's continued after this weekend, but this season has not finished lower than he started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It is. I'm like, that's a great stat.
Yeah.
Like, he's finished where he started.
Yeah.
But he's never finished lower than he started.
How good.
That's a phenomenal stat.
That is a really good stat.
Like, kind of an underrated one.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, obviously when you're... No, I was going to say, like, if you start if you're on pole, you don't have anywhere forward to go.
No, totally.
But, like...
But he's in and around the midfield, so, like, there's plenty of room either side.
Totally.
So, yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Anyways, then, obviously, Hamilton got his grid penalty.
Yes. Which dropped him from 4th to 7th.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
The photos after quali were hilarious of the top 3. And it's like Oscar and Lando, like...
Oh, yeah.
And Charles is like...
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's not even like they're just, pose smiling. They're like fully grinning. Maybe they were like having a laugh about something, but they're like, and Charles is just like right next to them, arm around, like,
I know.
I'm like, valid.
Well, because not only does he, like, know that you need to be on pole, basically, to win the race, but it's also, like, he gets pole around here all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's like,
literally.
You're biting my shit.
Yeah, he's like, this is my pole position.
Yeah.
It's like part of the reason his pole to win rate is so bad.
Yeah, literally. Because every time in Monaco,
something goes wrong, apart from last year. But, yeah, I don't think this year necessarily anything went wrong.
No, it was just...
There wasn't really much more he could have done. Lando was just faster in quali, and
100%.
It's Monaco.
Yeah.
So,
agreed.
But I think as well, like, Lando would have had the pace to disappear if it wasn't Monaco.
Yes, for sure.
So, and he probably would have lost the place to Oscar as well. So, anyways, shall we get into the race?
Well, actually, before the race started, I was watching, like, the grid walk and everything like that, and they showed Christian Horner and Adrian Newey talking to one another.
I did see that.
And I was like, lol.
Yeah.
Like, what are they talking about? Christian being like, no, but help.
Adrian's like, how's your car?
Yeah. Doing worse? Interesting.
Shocking, really. Also, just to mention quickly, the F2 race.
Oh, yes. Bro. There was more action in...
There's often more action in F2 though.
Yes.
Because it's a spec series, so they're all just like...
Yeah. But that was insane. If anyone hasn't watched the F2 race, just go and watch the highlights.
My boy caused like an 11 car pile up.
Yeah. Bro was in the wall and then decided that everyone was coming with him.
Well, no, it was like... He got done. He was on pole.
Yes.
And he got done around the outside.
Yeah.
And pulled a bit of a Max Verstappen and tried to stick it down, like, the inside.
Yeah.
He was, it was the other guy's corner.
Yeah.
To 100%. Use names, it was Victor Martin's corner.
Yeah.
100%. He was fucking fuming. Have you seen him in the pit lane?
I haven't.
He's crashing out. crashing out. Yeah. And Alex's son kind of just like kept going up the inside. It wasn't his corner, and he pushed him into the wall. And obviously, because it's Monaco, there's nowhere to go. So people that got through were mainly people on the inside. Yeah. Because they went into the barrier on the outside. But everyone that was on the outside had nowhere to go. Yeah. And just like...
What I didn't get was I think a lot of the cars that weren't damaged in that crash, even if they were stopped, they still...
Kept going?
Because
they kept their engine running, I think.
But
it's different in F2. Yeah, it's different.
Because if a marshal touches your car in F1, you're out. Yeah. Game over.
No, it's different.
But they like, because all the marshals were obviously pushing the cars around. So I was like, are all these cars out now because they've been touched?
Gabriele Mini was like, his car got pushed to the other side of the track and he still had his engine going. His team was like, stay in. And he's like, they keep telling me to get out. And they're like, don't get out.
Don't get out. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, if the rule was if you touch my car, I'm out, I'd be like, do not touch my car.
Yeah.
Like,
do not come to my town.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah, it was really funny. He was just like stranded there, like on the other side of the road, like, hello. Yeah.
Anyways, coming back to the F1.
Yes.
So many cars started on so many different tires.
Yeah.
Like massive mix of hards and mediums, like one or two softs. Like, crazy. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Keen to see how this goes.
Because I think a lot of people there was definitely a lot of people. I think it was quite interesting to see how people planned for the two-stop.
Yes.
Like, there were people waiting on a safety car. There were people getting their stops out of the way early and going long on the last stint to make up places later if there was a late safety car. To get track position. Like, there was a lot of different strategies there.
At play. But it's just like the problem was... none of this, it didn't make a difference what your strategy was. And I think the big example of that was Isaac Hadjar.
Yeah.
Because I thought when they pitted him early and then pitted him again, like in a handful of laps
next second,
Yeah, because they put him on softs and then like did like 3 or 4 laps from that. And then I was like, oh my God, they've absolutely cooked here. Like, they've got both stops out of the way and he's just gonna
into the gap that Liam made for him. Yeah.
And nothing. He gained no time on Lewis. Like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I was like, huh?
Yeah. Even with, like, Max at the end, like, he was like, I finished 4th either way. Obviously, I'm going to stay out until the last minute possible in case there's a red flag.
Literally.
Because I'm, like...
Yeah.
I'm finishing 4th. There is no
Whether
risk.
I pit now or on the very last lap, I'm finishing 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there is no... Unless there's a red flag. So, like, correct thing to do from Red Bull, 100%. But, like, it's like, ideally, you'd have, like, because if he wouldn't been able to do that anywhere else because the front runners would have passed him.
Exactly.
And then he would have come out behind everybody else. But they were all holding each other up back there.
Exactly.
So, it made no difference.
I know. So, yeah.
Anyways.
But anyway, coming back to the start of the race. Lando Norris, turn 1.
Bro.
I was like, yes! Only because Charles was going to.
No, of course. Not an anti-Lando. Yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of people who were a part of that. Also, I've seen some insane fucking comments of just Lando haters trying to, like, discredit him for that win.
He drove a great race.
Correct. And he got pole position. Like, he got pole and won the race. People were literally like, this is what makes me really laugh. Because I'm like, maybe this is what people think when they, like, see girls and they're like, fangirl opinion. But it was, like, the other way around. It was just a Lando Norris hater opinion. Because they were like, he wouldn't have won if it wasn't a 2-stop race.
Yeah, he would have. Because the 2-stop had 0 impact on...
So when he came out still ahead, like, on the track, net first after the first pit stops.
Yeah.
And then I like looked at the replies because I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And then someone was like, well, Max was leading until the end. And it's like, he was a stop behind.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean Max was leading? He hadn't stopped yet.
Literally.
I was literally like, huh? I'm like, y'all will do anything.
Yeah.
To discredit this man.
I know. Like, just because, like, I get what they're trying to say, but
it's just
Max
incorrect.
still had to stop. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a one-stop race for Max and a 2-stop for everyone else.
Yeah, it's not like what, I think it was in Monza last year where Charles was just like, all right, well, y'all have pitted out of my way. I'm just going to stay out.
I'm just going to go. Max still had to stop.
Yeah.
If it was only
it's a mandatory 2-stop. He has to stop. No.
Your
anyway,
logic
I just
is
thought
not making
that
sense.
was really funny.
Yeah,
and I was like,
people
God.
just be saying shit.
I know. But anyway, coming back to turn 1.
Yes.
I could not believe he made it out of that corner in one piece and still leading the race.
The amount of smoke coming off his tires, in the cool-down room, Oscar was like, mate, I thought for sure you were in the wall in turn 1 there.
He was like, I thought you were in the wall hard at turn 1. And I was like, me fucking too.
Literally. It was the only exciting part of the race.
Literally. But then I was like, oh.
I know.
Jesus.
I know.
But it was fine.
It was fine. And then it was looking a little bit dicey with Charles and Oscar, and then Max and Oscar for
Max
the first
and Oscar
couple
was
corners.
like a bit of a thing.
Yeah. But it all was fine and nothing happened.
It Monaco.
As per. And then
Kimi and Bortoletto.
Yes.
So Bortoletto went around Kimi, and I was like, okay, overtaking in Monaco.
I know. I was like, whoa, was that an overtake?
Yeah. And Kimi was like, I think the fuck not.
Yeah.
And then
I think he kind of pushed him off because Bortoletto was in front, so he's entitled to the space.
Yeah.
The fact that Kimi's just whipped round the inside and slammed the door on him.
It was a bit of a door slam.
Yeah.
With no runoff area.
Yeah.
But I think he was ahead by the apex. He didn't get a penalty for it.
Yeah, I know.
But it was
just
a bit
of an incident.
Because they were like, oh, well, I think Kimi was entitled to that. And I was like, well, where was Bortoletto meant to go?
Because the onboard from Bortoletto was there was road and then there was no road.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there was road and then there was wall.
Yes.
Thankfully, he could get going again.
Yes,
and it was just really a front wing. That was the benefit of that.
Well, thankfully for him, for the entertainment of the race.
Would have been fun to see an early safety car. And that would have, thrown a bit of a...
Yes.
Potentially a bit of strategy up in
Agreed.
the air. But
there was
all
a little
of the
VFC for the debris.
Was it that for that one or was that for the Gasly? No, it was for that one.
Yeah, it was for that one.
Which
it was weird with the Gasly one that they didn't
wasn't.
throw a VFC because there was
debris
everywhere.
I know.
And I was like, surely.
You want to clean this up?
I know.
But with the VSC for that one though, it worked very nicely for all the soft starters.
Yes.
That was great for them.
Yeah, and they were all sort of at the back. Or
so it didn't really do anything anyway.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah.
Yes.
Then
Ollie Behrman came into the pits as part of that and had a really
bad
long
stop.
And I was like, oh, he can't catch a break.
Yeah. 10 place grid penalty starting P20.
Yeah.
Bad stop.
I know.
Not fun.
But yeah, then Gasly's incident happened. And
yes.
Going into kind of the back of Yuki. I just can't believe they didn't throw a safety car. I
know.
I'm glad that Gasly was fine and that he was able to get back to the pits without causing any issues.
I know.
But he left so much debris all over the track.
Yeah, he left his fucking front wing in the middle of the track.
I'm like, how?
He also almost hit Franco on his rejoining the track. And I was like,
So that
Flavio would have loved that.
Mm.
But he is lucky where it was that and they were saying he can't drive around in that condition, it's unsafe. He has no brakes.
Yes.
The closest place for him to go was pit lane.
Yes.
So
I know. So yeah, it kind of worked out.
It did kind of work out that there was no he didn't get stranded anywhere and cause a safety car. But
a safety
then
car would have been
also
interesting.
It would have. There was the double waved yellows in that section.
Yes.
And then Max was blowing up that Oscar was going so slowly.
Yeah.
And it's double waved yellows.
I know. That was weird. Because all of a sudden the gap between Oscar and Max closed. And I was like, hang on a minute.
And then Max was
it's a yellow flag.
Yeah. And Max was on the radio being he's going too slow.
Yeah.
Why is he going so slow in this corner? It's
there's a yellow flag.
There's a front wing there.
I know, you can't start racing each other again until the green flag.
And then I was like, you can't pass him here. It's double wave yellows.
Yeah.
What?
You can't pass him anywhere, but you can't pass him on a double yellow.
No. So I was like, bro, why are we...
Yeah,
and Max is normally the person that's
yeah,
about that.
I know.
It's how the turntables.
According to the rules.
It's he didn't lift.
Yeah. That was very random.
Yeah.
But then after that all happened, that was when RB started to cook with their strategy and they pitted Hadjar. And then Liam Lawson started the kind of trend of teammates backing the pack up to build
the gap for their friend.
Yes.
Which Williams love the power of friendship.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Williams absolutely,
they caused
fueled by the power of friendship.
With the power of friendship back there. Anyways, we'll kind of get to that. But I think an interesting thing that was like happening around then was like they said of what tyres people had.
Yes.
Which having such soft options for the weekend did make that interesting.
Yeah.
Because McLaren had the advantage because they had mediums and 2 sets of hards.
Yeah.
So they went on to the hards and it was kind of like, well, they're not going to run out of tyres. So if there's an early safety car, they can make it to the end because they've got another set of hard tyres. If there's a late safety car, they're not going to run out of tyres before they get to the late safety car because they're on hards. So they were kind of like good either way. Whereas Max, he only had softs to go to, which is another reason he stayed out for so long. Yes. It's because, well, it's like, what are you going to do 20 laps on a C6? No, you're not. So, like, I just thought that was an interesting, like, little advantage McLaren if there was a safety car, which there totally wasn't. But
yeah, for sure. But then, like, people started to come in for their pit stops after that then.
Yeah, so the leaders came in for their pit stops.
McLaren, once again, failed in Oscar's pit stop.
I know.
And I was like, oh boy.
At least last week they fucked up both of their pit stops.
True. Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather they fuck up none. Ferrari were cooking.
Yes.
With Charles's pit stops.
2.0.
Bow, bow. And the next one, 2.2.
I know. I was very impressed.
And then, because, they were like, with Oscar, they were like, we're undercutting Charles.
Yeah.
And then did like a 4-second pit stop. I was like,
not with that time.
You're going to get undercut.
Yeah, literally.
Which he low-key nearly did.
He was close. Yeah. You know what I thought was really weird? Alonso, for a lot of the race before he DNF'd, had this massive gap in front of him before the leaders.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are none of them pitting
into
taking this massive gap that's here and then just finishing the rest of it? Like,
because of potential safety car, probably.
But, like, it just was like, this feels like such an opportunity. And, like, obviously hindsight's a bitch. But I remember the whole time I was like, there is not going to be a red flag or a safety car.
No, nothing's
like, the fact
happening.
that there was not a safety car for Pierre Gasly's half his car, like, being left around the track, there is not going to be a safety car on this race. I was like, surely someone takes this. And just no one did for, like, 20 laps.
No one did at all, really.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Lewis did at one point, actually.
Lewis was the first one to take it. Way later.
Yeah. I think, was Alonso out still by then? I don't know.
I think maybe just for like a minute.
But,
and then he was done.
When Alonso DNF'd.
I know.
I was like, you can't catch a break.
I know. I found out it's his worst season in 10 years.
Yeah, I did see that.
So far this season, he's had DNF, 11th, 15th, 11th, 15th, 11th, DNF. 2015 was, the season 10 years ago. When he was driving for, obviously, she can do math. When he was driving for McLaren.
Yeah.
And his season, up till now, was DNF, 12th, 11th, DNF, 10th.
But he got a point.
He got a point. So
it's like better.
Kind of doing better.
He DNF'd more, but he got a point.
But he got a point. So I'm like, actually.
But especially after, like, he's been running in the points a few times and then just, like, shit's happened.
Yeah.
And especially, like, my predictions that I made this weekend. Mm-hmm. My last prediction to come true by that point in time.
Yeah.
Was Aston Martin points. Because I kind of banked on their good quality in Imola last year.
Yeah.
Last week. Well, do not remember what they did in Imola last year. But I was banking on another good qualifying from at least one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't overtake. It's Monaco. Yeah. So I'm like, Aston Martin points. And then he fucking pulls off. Good timing, though. He just, like, went straight off into the escape road. Yeah. And, the race was unaffected, really. Yeah.
It was, like, a yellow flag for about 10 seconds.
Everyone gained a place, and off we went.
Yep, exactly.
Which also promoted both of the Williams to points. Because prior to that, Alex was in, Carlos was out.
Yes.
And they were wreaking fucking havoc back there.
Dude.
Carlos backed up everyone so much. And Alex did both of his pit stops into that gap that Carlos made, which effectively means he made like almost a minute gap for Alex to do 2 pit stops into. they swapped positions and did the same thing.
And George Russell is just sitting behind them, like, fuming.
It's like, well, pit him, maybe.
I know.
What the hell was Mercedes doing?
I know.
What were they doing?
Truly, like, one of the worst strategies of all. I mean, not that any strategy particularly was helpful, but what were you doing?
Genuinely. Like, what? You're a top of, like, front of the grid team.
Yeah.
And you'd think you qualify so far back in Monaco, you'd roll the dice. You'd go an early pit stop. You'd, like, split the strategy at least to try and get one of your drivers somewhere.
Yeah.
Or
Nothing.
we could just piss around back here and do nothing.
Yeah. Wild.
That's also an option.
Actually, their strategy was to just cut the corner at the end in order to overtake Albon. And there's George being like, nah, I'll just cop the penalty. And then because he said that, he got a drive-through.
Oh, but like...
Valid. At the time, I was like, if they don't give him a drive-through because he's admitted to, like...
I'm like, don't say it.
Totally don't
But
say
he's,
it.
like, having such a meltdown already.
I know.
He's like, I don't care. I'm not giving... Because they were like, give Alex a place. He was like,
no, I'm going to take the penalty.
Which, like, keep that one...
Yeah, that's an inside
in
thought.
your cranium.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was really funny.
And then Kimmy did the same thing.
I know. I was like, surely they tell him to give the place back now that they know what the
penalty is for that.
Yeah, because that's crazy.
But Kimmy also didn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, Alex genuinely almost put him in the wall.
Yes. Whereas George was just, like, pissed off.
Yeah.
It was quite funny watching Lewis lap the Mercedes, though. I'm sure that probably felt really good for Lewis.
Yeah.
Especially, like, after all the, like, shit time he's been having at Ferrari.
Yeah, and Mercedes doing well.
Like, get one back. Them.
Yeah, 100%. But then obviously I was kind of thinking before Williams said it, I was like, surely they swapped the places back now.
Yes.
And then they did. And I was like, God, they're good.
God, they're good. The power of friendship.
Literally.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm so here for it.
I know, me too. But just because they're just like having a good time. They're like, we're both doing better than expected.
Yeah.
Our car is slaying.
Just good vibes.
We're not really fighting for like the championship individually.
No.
So we're just going to help each other out.
Yeah. Just
the power
do
of
the best for the
friendship.
team. I know.
Anyways, then obviously Max got into the lead.
Yes.
We've spoken about it a little bit already, but he kind of was like, just going to stay out.
Yep.
And see if there was a red flag. And like, if he could back Lando into Charles and they want to have a ding-dong, then maybe he could come second instead of fourth.
Yep.
Like if they took each other out.
Totally.
So
I think as well, like if Charles could have gotten around Lando, like for Max in the championship points, that would have been better for Lando to have finished second over rather than first.
Every single thing about that was in Max's best interests to just stay there, back them up and see what happens.
Yep.
Like, as we said, he had to come in. So, he was like, but I was also like, if there's a red flag right now, that is the most Max Verstappen thing to fucking happen.
I know.
I would have thrown hands if there was a red flag.
Valid.
I was like, nobody bin it.
I know.
Everybody keep your fucking wheels on the track.
But like, I was just watching Charles hunt down Lando. Because obviously Max was like, okay, whatever, he's just going to chill.
Yeah.
But I was watching Charles hunt down Lando, and like, it's just such a joke that he was within like a couple of tenths and just could not get around.
I know, it's such a joke. But also like, if you were able to overtake, like Lando would have been off past Max and down the, like
for sure.
But it is just such a joke.
Yeah.
Because Lando obviously had to back off from Max to give himself the space to like deploy battery down the pit straight.
Yeah.
To like not get overtaken with DRS.
Every time, because Charles is good in the slow corners.
Yeah.
Like the Ferrari's good there. But then, the second that there was a straight, Lando just poof.
Because he just saved battery. Because there was no way like that Charles was going to get him anywhere else on the track.
No.
So it was like, well, I'll just save battery and then get myself a gap to Max so I'm not running into the back of Max by the first corner.
Yeah.
Like then just off down.
Yeah.
And then like, he also was like, okay, well, I'm going to back up you now into Oscar.
Yes.
To potentially like distract you a little bit back there as well. Yeah, when Lando on the radio was like, where's Oscar? I need him.
Yeah. They were like, he's on his way. Help us on the way,
dear. But I'm like, don't tell him that. He's like had 4 like grazes with the wall. Like,
I know.
Not that many. I think he had like 1.
No. But like he was still driving.
He was
like,
still sliding.
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay, calm down.
Careful.
Yeah. But then Lando crossed the line.
Yeah.
And won Monaco. And we had a new Monaco winner. Yay! It was very sweet.
I was very, very happy.
Yes.
Obviously, as I said earlier, he needed a bit of a confidence boost.
Yes.
To win in Monaco is like on every F1 driver's bucket list.
Absolutely.
So it's a nice one.
Yes.
Any win he needed.
Yes.
But it's a nice one for him to get because it's Monaco.
Totally.
And oh my God, his fucking parents are so cute.
So
his mum is
sweet.
adorable.
I know.
I love her.
I know. She gives like real mum vibes too.
Totally. Like a lot of people around in and around the paddock are like, you know, they glam up. They'll like be all fashionable. And I'm like, you're giving like art teacher and I love it.
Yes.
She's so cute. I love her. She's got like the kooky glasses
and
like the shawls.
Yeah, I love it.
Also, F1 TV just hard launching his relationship.
Dude,
I was like,
real.
good one, everybody. But obviously, like, if he's brought her there, like, they're clearly okay with it. Everyone fucking knows as well.
I know.
But
also,
I'm like,
it's like not that big of a deal.
It's not like... I was like, oh, the fangirls are gonna hate that. Grow up.
They did. I was like,
grow up, grow
Get
up,
a
grow up.
life.
Literally.
Yeah.
None of your business.
I know.
Anyways.
So silly.
The fucking cool down room was so fun.
I know.
Why was Oscar like the most animated person there?
I know.
That never has happened, I
Kind
don't
of
think,
bizarre.
ever.
I know.
I liked it though. They were vibing.
Yeah, they were having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
very Oscar
chill.
knew it wasn't his weekend.
I think that was the thing, is like he was pretty resigned to P3 after qualifying.
Yeah,
P3.
and yeah, like obviously he would have been disappointed with P3 in qualifying, but as you said, resigned to P3. And he, as we've kind of touched on, had a lot of slips and stuff over the weekend. Just wasn't his weekend. He'll be back. But the championship gap has now closed.
Dude, it's 3 points.
It's fucking nothing.
I think that's like what I was most happy about with Lando winning.
Yeah.
Was just the fact that like,
because
Oscar there was not run away with this at all.
There was a point in time after Miami.
Yeah.
I was like, is he just gonna run away with it?
Yeah.
I genuinely was like, if Lando doesn't fix his qualifying performance, Oscar is going to run away with the World Championship.
Yes.
Which, sorry. But also, like, I
want a battle.
And I've said, like, I want Lando to win it this year because I fear if he doesn't, he may never get one. So, and then Oscar can win every year after that, forever onwards. And I'm obviously not going to be disappointed if Oscar fucking wins.
No, totally.
But I'm like, I would like at least
Lando.
a fight.
Yes.
Because who knows what's going to happen with the new regs next year.
No, 100%.
And I'm like, anyways.
Yeah, so that was the vibe.
But yeah, 3 points.
3 points.
Fucking nothing.
I know. It's very exciting.
It also makes me stressed.
I'm here for it.
But it's fun.
Yes. All right, let's do our awards.
We've done so well for time. That's what happens when there's nothing that happens in the race.
Who was your biggest winner?
My biggest winner was Lando.
Yes, same.
For the reasons we just spoke about.
Yes.
But also RB.
Yeah.
Fucking killed the strategy.
Killed the strategy.
I don't think I've ever seen them kill a strategy.
No.
They slayed.
Yeah.
Did you have any other dubs?
Nope, literally just Lando.
Fair. What about your L's?
Mercedes was one.
Oh, me too.
Obviously. Charles a little bit.
Yeah,
just being like so close but so far.
Yeah.
And also Oscar, because his big championship lead, as we said, is now only 3 points.
Yeah. The only one I have to add to that is like Mercedes, specifically George, for the engine cutout.
Fair.
Because he's always a solid pick to be up there in quali.
Yes.
So I do think he could have been a part of that.
Yeah.
3rd to 5th area had that not happened in quali.
For sure.
So Mercedes in general, big L.
Yes.
But specifically I'd say George.
Fair. Biggest meme?
I had a few. I screenshotted some.
There were
Please
some
hold.
good ones.
Whoa.
While you're finding yours, I can
Yes.
tell you mine. You know that meme where the guy, like, that little cartoon character, like, steps on the rake and it, like, hits him in the face?
Yes.
And then, like, underneath it, it's the guy doing, like, a kickflip with the
Yes.
rake and then it still, like,
Hits
lands
him
on
in
it
the
and
head.
hits
Yeah.
him in the head. It was like that, but the caption was, like, Monaco 1 stop and it's just hitting it, and then Monaco 2 stop and it's just all the chaos and then still
the
just
same
hitting him in the
result.
face.
Yes, that's funny.
I thought that was very funny.
Yes. I have this one, and it's a simple picture of Max Verstappen winning the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yes.
And it says, Max if Briatore was at Red Bull.
No, but
Because when he was out in front,
he needed a red flag.
Exactly. Anyways, I also
Real.
I screenshotted the one that I was talking about before of like Hamilton apologizing to Max for impeding him in qualifying. Max, Ferrari comms. Lewis, Ferrari comms.
True.
Yeah, they were my memes.
Love. Do you have a useless stat?
I have 2 useless stats, actually.
Let's go.
My first one is that Isaac Hadjar is the first rookie to start in the top 5 since Lewis Hamilton in 2007.
Wow.
Back when he was a rookie.
That's a nice little,
Yeah, for his,
thing
idol
to have
as
in
well.
Yeah. That's super cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Fun.
Do you have one?
I do. Mine's a little longer.
Yes.
Because it's a little bit of a history lesson.
Yes.
But I found out that in the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix, only 3 drivers finished out of 22.
Crazy.
I know. So I was reading about the race, and it was raining at the start, so obviously chaos. But Jos Verstappen was in the race, and he started on slicks when the track
Ferrari.
was
He didn't drive a Ferrari, but
no, but it's giving Ferrari.
Yeah, it is.
He crashed out and took a bunch of cars out with him. Schumacher crashed out. Barrichello crashed out. Basically, just throughout the whole race, drivers were just dropping left, right, and center.
Yeah.
To Martin Brundle crashed out to the point where there were literally 4 cars left by the last lap. And the one that came fourth just went into the pits at the end of the race.
It was there's no point.
Yeah, and
but what about the points? He probably was back marker in the championship.
Yeah, I guess you would still finish 4th because that's where you were last classified.
No, but you don't get the points, surely.
I don't know.
I don't know how that works. Someone
maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so it was Oliver Panis was the guy that won. He was a French driver, and that was his maiden win.
Did he win again?
I don't know, actually.
That would be an interesting thing. I wonder, where he was in the championship. If it's George Russell coming through to win, or if it's
yeah,
Colapinto.
Someone in the comments can tell us. But yeah, it was his maiden win. David Coulthard was in 2nd, and Johnny Herbert was in 3rd.
That's
so random. Could you
Mayhem.
imagine? And this was when there was 22 cars on the grid as well. Could you imagine
18 cars
nowadays?
DNF.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Hello?
Yeah.
It's giving F2. Anyway.
I have another fact as well for you.
Yes.
In Abu Dhabi in 2017, Campos, which is an F2 team, I think it also is an F3 team, but I think this was in F2. Yes, F2. In Abu Dhabi, Campos fielded Lando Norris and Alex Palou in F2. This weekend, Lando won the Monaco Grand Prix and Alex Palou won the Indy 500.
Oh, cute.
I was just that's cute. Campos can just be oh.
Yeah, we really did that.
We did well.
Love
we did well
that.
over there. Anyway,
Super cute.
Random little fact for you.
Love. Did you have a silliest surprise?
Yeah. RB having a really good strategy.
I had that too, double RB in the points.
Yeah, and just Lawson points as well.
Yep.
In the same breath.
Yep.
That was basically my silly surprise. All just RB.
Yeah, fair. I also just had SD Bestie in the points.
Slay.
Too.
Yeah.
Random.
Hella silly.
Who was your driver of the day?
I have Lando.
Fair.
As my driver of the day. I think, yeah. Not much really to say.
Valid.
Yeah, I think he did.
He was definitely driver of the day on Saturday.
Yeah,
I had Charles because I feel like he did absolutely everything in his power to try and get past Lando.
Totally.
And it was an impossible task.
Yeah.
So yeah. And kept Lando under pressure.
That's
was
kind of
chill with Oscar. Gaining on him.
That's kind of the part of the reason I say Lando as well, because I was not confident he wasn't gonna fucking
he kept
get
cool.
too much.
Yeah.
I mean, from the way he handled everything in Australia,
yes,
he handled all of that very well.
Come a long way since last year.
Totally, but I was a little bit let's not bottle it now.
True. So out of all the nothingness that happened, did you have a favourite moment?
I think it's got to be the end of qualifying and Lando clinching pole.
Totally.
That was class.
Yeah, agreed.
Yours was quali, even though...
Well, I had quali just because it was just
well, nothing more exciting happened in the race, so
yes. It was entertaining to watch, and also just having like all the free practice results come in, which I was
true.
And I was like, yes. So yeah. Anyways, that was
Like that. Nice.
So I think that's Monaco.
I think we've done well for time.
I know.
Off to Barcelona.
Ew.
I promise to never do that again.
That's good.
First and foremost.
Last race on this track before we move to
Madrid. The Madring.
The Mad Ring.
I think just calling it the Madring is really fun. So like Madrid.
Yes.
I think it is the Madring.
I have no idea.
It's one
or the other.
I think Madring is like Madring is like, but Madring is goofy. Can we have some fun? I don't care at all, actually.
Either way.
Anyways.
Yeah. But Max won last year. And honestly, I'd probably put my money on him to perform again this year, especially with like the changes that are coming in with like the front wing flexibility and all that. We'll see, because Red Bull, I think, have spoken very confidently about their car's ability to meet those requirements. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll see.
We will.
How that goes.
And I think a lot of people have put a bit of it will dampen McLaren's advantage on it. Because I think it's a regulation that McLaren are currently doing very well in how it's currently allowed.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, why ruin the party? I don't like when they do this.
Yeah.
Maybe if it wasn't my team.
Would you like it? Yeah, I was going to say, would you like it if it wasn't your team?
But I'm like, surely like regulations are there and like who can make the most creative way with this
I
set
agree.
of rules to be as fast as possible. And it's like, well, we found a creative way.
Yeah.
This was more like the rear wing thing last year.
Yeah.
Like the double DRS.
Yeah,
it's like we made a fun way to be really fast.
Yes.
Still within your rules.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're actually just going to stop you right there. And it's like, well,
I know.
Anyways.
But then it's not an entertainment / sport if
but McLaren's winning.
I know.
So anyways. Who was the rest of the podium? I remember it was another one of those ones that Lando could have.
Yeah.
I think he had pole and he bottled his pole.
I think he did have pole. I don't remember.
It could have been another Max Lando Charles spec.
I don't think Charles was on the podium.
Charles and Oscar crashed into each other at the start, and then they both had to come in for like new front wings and were running at the back.
Yeah. I remember Barcelona kind of not being a vibe for Charles last year. Max Lando Lewis was the podium.
Okay.
Last year.
Well, I don't think we're going to have a repeat podium.
No. Unless Ferrari roll out their car from last year. That obviously was on the podium. So.
And something happens to Charles.
Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. Fucking Lewis wasn't at Ferrari.
Lewis wasn't at Ferrari. Girl, you were just talking about how you miss Carlos Sainz.
I do.
The other day. Did you enter the Williams giveaway for Silverstone?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Don't enter it. I want to win it.
Just go away. That'd be great.
Anyways, I digress. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
We always ramble on at the end.
I know.
We like kill an extra 10 minutes just from talking shit.
I know.
Anyways, if you're listening on an app and you did enjoy it, do give us a 5-star review because it really helps us out. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video, leave us a comment of what you thought, and we'll see you next time. Subscribe. All right, bye.
Bye.